Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my work capacity space. I've never shown you this before, but today I want to show you my week object type that I have set up here because it's basically how I manage my work and manage my work week all in one place. The idea of this object type is that it scaffolds my process. It helps me plan, it helps me execute, and then it helps me reflect so that I can do informed planning for next week. I've been doing it for 11 weeks now, and it really has been deeply helpful. And it's been deeply helpful because of a few things. Number one, it literally scaffolds my process, and you'll see that as we go through. I have queries that help me think about what I need to think about in the order that I need to think about them. Those queries are fed by two properties, the date property and the project property, and it gives me one place to go to do my review, which makes maintaining that habit of reviewing my work really easy. I've done personal reviews for years, but I've never been super fantastic about weekly work check-ins. Reading the Getting Things Done books reminded me that I should be very good at that, and I've really adopted it ever since, and this is the structure that helps me use that and do good things as a result of it. So I'm going to give you a tour. This is a blank template, as you can tell. This is what is my default template. It's loaded every time I make a new week. I will just call the week like the number that I've been working on. I think, saying this out loud, I should really align it with the week that we're actually in. So let's say 24. And I don't give it a name. I just leave it like that. And I pin it to the sidebar, as you can see with my current week here. And that just means it reminds me to open it, because if something is in front of me, I forget it exists, and this helps me remember it exists. And because it's part of a cycle, it's kind of hard to know where to start, but we're just going to go from top to bottom. The last week and next week properties, I call them navigational properties. They just help me like hand over from one week to the next, and they're two-way linked. So if I create next week and then open it in the right side panel, as I always do, you can see that last week has automatically been filled in. So it just helps me go between things. And I also use this to like hand projects over early if needed. We'll get to that. I also then fill in the dates. I'll do it for next week actually. So click on the first day and shift click on the end day. And you can see that already just from applying the dates, I have one task show, which is a maintenance task I have to do. That's because this query is a variable query, and we'll get to that. Before that, we need to talk about this projects property. This is a multi-select property, and it feeds the rest of the system. Because it's so important, it needs to be 100% correct. So the first things in this weekly object are actually not tasks. They are things that help me make sure that that property is correct. The first thing is a simple checkbox, sync Kanban. I could make this a task, I suppose that's a recurring task, but either way, it reminds me I need to do it. And what this means is I open up our team Notion and double check that the things I'm assigned to do have a note in Capacities. If not, they get one note per project, or just like if it's an individual action, just a task. This means that the things that I say I will do for the team actually happen because they are in my capacity space where I like coordinate my work, let's say. I try and do as much as I can in here, but I'm also in other apps often, so this is just that kind of headquarters, I suppose. Then I have a very simple query where I'm looking for all my projects that are not done, and I review every single one of those not done projects every single week. Things change all the time. Something that, we might have said we'd do one day 8 months ago, we might have a random conversation that makes us think, no, let's actually bring this forward now. And just having that check-in opportunity for all these projects is really helpful. I also ask the important questions like, is this thing actually on hold, either because of me or someone else? Should it still be discarded? Like, just check, make that decision. And when I've done that, this in progress column is going to be the most important thing. Then I add each of the projects that are here to this property, and that feeds this open task query. I'll open it here so you can see what it looks like. This query looks into my projects that are connected to this week through this variable point here, this week's projects, and it pulls out all the tasks. It then filters out everything that is done because I don't need to see those, and it adds any undone tasks that have a due date that falls within the date range that I put into. So this just updates. If I change these dates, what's here would change. If I change the projects, the tasks change, because it's always pulling from those two sources of information to tell me what I need to think about. So if I get given a new project and it needs to be done this week, I add it here. I put it in progress, the tasks appear. If I realise I can't work on a project this week because we've moved a release forward and I've got to focus on that, I add the release here, I kick something out that I can't do this week, and most of the time that means directly handing it over to the next week because I still want to work on it. This is lightweight enough that it's easy to stick to, but it's also easy to change, which means I can be more agile and respond to things as needed. And then during the week, I have one place to look. I just look at my open tasks, most specifically out of the next action list, which is my getting things done oriented approach. But it just really works. I love it. And then on a Friday, it's time for a review. And every Friday, I review every goal, every open project, and every task. That sounds crazy. Like there's loads of things to do, right? Not really. It probably takes me 15 minutes. And my method is I will first begin with my goals, and I will link to the goal inline and then provide the update. And then you do this enough weeks, you open your goal and you see the progress throughout the weeks, or lack thereof. And for me, that has been a very useful signal to sort of sit down with myself and be like, okay, this thing hasn't moved on for 3 weeks. Why? Figure it out, make it work. And I find that really great. So I also do it with my projects. And once I've done that, I have a look at all of my tasks. When I'm looking at my projects, I will make sure there's a next action. That's a getting things done thing, because then I know exactly how to pick it up. Otherwise, it remains stagnant, and I don't want that. So I've got that intentional touch point, and then I have a bunch of tasks that I've assigned as next actions, or I've said they're blocked. So then I go through all my tasks and make sure that they've got like a rough date that I can plan to do them on, and just to make sure there's nothing that slipped through the cracks. All this probably takes me 15 minutes, and it allows me to leave work. I work from home 24/7, but it allows me to close my work laptop and feel like I am A, ready for Monday, and B, like I'm satisfied the week is over and I can open my other capacity space and spend my weekend there instead. So Monday is a case of opening what will be the newly pinned week on the side here, and I just get going on my next action list. It's been very repeatable, very helpful, and I've enjoyed it a lot. So this works, I think, because it makes it easy to follow my own processes. I don't hold in my head what I want to do. The queries are in an order that provides me that information every week, and it updates automatically, which is the benefit of a query. But the final secret ingredient to all of this, and you'll probably hear me say this like across all of my videos forever, is I have to dedicate the time to make it work. Queries and capacities help to a very, very large extent, but it isn't a substitute for effort. That's a lesson I've had to learn. And now finding the time to review and to check in with myself, even when it's a little bit scary, like asking myself why I'm not progressing on a project that's only my project. No one else is blocking me. It's literally all me. Like, it can be uncomfortable, but from that, I think you grow and you learn how you can work better, and then your systems can support you in that. And that's really what this is doing. And of course, this is just the work context, but this is a repeatable format. So in my personal space, whilst it isn't in my week object, I do have an object that has my open projects and my open trips, like things I'm planning, and I combine all of those into an open task thing, and they're like the tasks I need to think about. They're not my recurring tasks, they are tasks that need to be completed because they're moving towards something. I split trips and projects, you don't have to, but I just use this same setup in a personal realm instead. All a variable query, and this is how you can set it up. If you have any questions about this, queries, reviews, getting things done, let me know and we can have a chat. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.